Oh, he's pointing at me first.
You recording?
Yeah.
All right. So this is a private video off of Lana's iPhone, and this is for Dr. Karen and Lana. We're going to go behind the scenes of the training. Because it's not very often I'm going to make training while I'm eating Lana's amazing chicken adobo and drinking cocoon water. So I've shared two videos that I want you to watch. The first is a podcast that I did 3 weeks ago with Dr. Angus, I forgot his last name, but Angus Pike, and he's a chiropractor. He serves all the other medical doctors. It's called Marketing Your Practice. And we go through the simple fundamental things that every practice needs to go through. 1 minute videos, which is getting the content out there, $1 a day, be able to boost it, right, so people see it, and then digital plumbing, which is all the tracking and optimization in those stages so that people know where to start if you're a local business. There are other starting points which we'll cover, but I want you to understand the challenges that local service businesses have. Dentists, plumbers, chiropractors, personal injury attorneys, whatever, mortgage brokers, right? These are local businesses trying to rank locally. These are not national businesses. These are not product companies. These are not startups. These are not B2B. This is not medical marijuana. This is local service businesses, usually professional services, usually medical, but it could be other kinds of services too, like repairman, garage door, whatever. But local services, that's our main focus. So we have to understand what it's not for, right? We're targeting just people in a 5-mile radius. You have just one location, maybe 6-mile radius. And you'll see how we do this step by step. Now, as you're watching it, think about the rest of the training that we have explaining the 6-phase social amplification engine. Think about, turn around so we can see Lana. You can see who she is too. No, just flip your phone so we can see. See, there's Lana, okay? So it's us three. Okay, good. Now turn it back to me. So think about from the standpoint of, if you're a local service business, what do you need to know, right? So forget about the fact that we are professionals in social media, digital marketing. What do we need to know to make it very simple so that a local service business can go through what we're talking about step by step and execute? And if there's a concept that they don't understand, then we just link out in the training, or because all the training we're turning into videos as well as the text-based one. So this is called the video, which references the presentation version, and then there's the guide version, which is reading a textbook. But either way, it's the same thing, just different formats, right? But think about how everything links together, all right? Because as we say, okay, make a 1-minute video, okay, upload things to your Facebook page, okay, there's going to be questions along the way, like what's a Facebook page, or what's a retargeting pixel, or whatever. So that's when they can stop and go further, because we don't want to stop at every single point. Some people know what it is, right? Some people want to skip forward for whatever reason. Let them see the whole framework. But think about how everything we do links together. Every single podcast, every training, every speaking thing, every article I have actually all links together into a singular framework. So in order for you to be able to teach this, Karen and Lana, and maybe if other people are watching later, we could share this later, you actually have to understand the entire system, right? Because you got to know how the different pieces fit together. That's where the 6-phase social amplification engine is. And you'll see I'll reference different components. Sometimes it'll look like I'm jumping back and forth, but that's because depending on how urgent people are and be able to drive sales, they should start at plumbing and go goals, content, targeting, amplification, optimization. They should, in an ideal world, go like this. But sometimes they're so urgent that we can just create a little bit of content and amplify it and later come back and do plumbing. Maybe they don't know what their goals are. They don't know what a cost per lead is, or they don't even have any data, so we can kind of skip past that for now, but later go back where they're an established business. Great, let's get the measurement in place because there's enough traffic, enough phone calls, enough website visitors, enough like Facebook, enough like Twitter DMs, like whatever, enough traffic to then be able to clarify the goals, or they know what the goals are, to then proceed to content because they have an existing funnel, to then be able to target, which is remarketing audiences and different segments of people based on what they're doing and what they like, to running ads, which is amplification, to optimizing, which is the last step, right? And so the second video is what we call this 37-minute logic engine. Now this one, I'm warning you, is difficult. This is conceptually very tricky. Not because it's like obtuse, but because it is made for architects like us that are building systems. This is not made for small businesses to understand. This is not even made for people who are specialists that are learning how to do video editing or building websites or whatever. It's not even made for agency owners who supposedly should be experts in digital marketing. This is made for architects, which is one level deeper than all of those. Okay, so you understand those levels? There is the underlying customer, like the person who's getting their back fixed by the chiropractor, the person getting their teeth drilled by the dentist. They don't really need to know anything except they identify with the story, they look at reviews, whatever it is. Then there's the business owner themselves, and they're just one level deeper than the customer, because they have to know enough to be able to produce the content and be able to put it into the different formats and be able to pay us and be able to not freak out and be able to set the right expectations, right, with us and with their customers. And so they don't need to know everything about digital marketing. They need to know enough for them to be able to execute and just trust us that this is what's going on. So when the patient goes to the doctor, the patient doesn't have to know how to do heart surgery. They have to trust the doctor and understand what's going to happen, right? The doctor can't just be voodoo, but still has to explain, yes, there's a process behind it, but we're not here to teach you. We're here to, save you. So then from the business, there's the agency. The agency is one level deeper than the customer. Than the client. Because the agency has to be able to talk to the client in the same way the client talks to the customer. And the agency has to be able to guide them through these 6 phases. But they don't truly understand why it's these 6 phases and why certain tasks are a certain way, or why is a topic wheel organized with the people on the outside versus the topics on the inside, or why is it 6 topics versus not 10 topics or 2 topics. Like, we don't need to explain. I mean, if someone really wants to know at the architect level, of course, we'll explain why that is, right? But there's like the agency owner, which we call a partner, is one level deeper than the client, who's not or who's a little more sophisticated than the underlying customer, right? Customer, client, agency, which we also call partner. And then there's a quasi-manager operations level, like an internal person at Blitz that has to be able to handle support questions, right? Because we have agencies that come to us and they don't know what to do in setting up their business to be able to service dentists or be able to service chiropractors or service bounce houses. Like my buddy Ben services 30-something Sky Zones, right? So he knows more than the agency, the typical agency owner, but he also can train other agencies. So our operations people should be able to, because they have to help the agencies who are helping the clients, who are helping the customers. You see this chain? That's called inception, multiple levels deep. Then there's one level deeper than the operations manager. That's where we are. That's the architect. That's what we need to understand. The very bottom of inception, the dream, inside the dream, all the way down to the bottom. And that is understanding how this entire system fits together. It doesn't mean engineering necessarily, although engineering is writing code for computers to execute very specific instruction sets. We are writing code or instruction sets for people, which is what we call process. Okay? So in specific instruction sets for computers is called code. Specific instruction sets for people is called process. But either way, they are very specific directions where we're laying out the framework. Another way to look at it is you have people that work in the factory, right? And they just do their one thing on the line. And they only need to know how to do the one thing, like put the front left tire on the Ford Explorer, and that's all they do, over and over again, right? They don't need to understand how the rest of the they don't need to understand like how Ford is different than, Tesla. They don't need to understand the other parts of the assembly line and why it's this tire and why the tire has this kind of tray. They just need to put the thing on, and that's all they need to do, and they're trained for that one task on the menu. Then from there's the factory foreman, who's in charge of that area, and they're supervising the workers. And so they have to know how to put the front tire on and be able to paint the car or be able to do like a couple things, right? They're one level above that worker, but they still don't understand why the entire factory is laid out the way it is, right? And how to build the machines. Maybe they even know how to repair the machines inside the factory, but they don't know enough to build it or set the blueprint, the architecture, like truly understanding how the whole system works to design that factory. So the architect level is what covers the entire thing. So you have to understand my vision and how these things fit together. And that's that second video called the 37-minute Logic Engine video. And you'll see a lot of people internally have attempted to understand it, and they often get stuck because it's conceptual and it contains so many cross references. The point of that 37-minute Logic Engine video is to show you that there's a singular framework and show you where all the connection points are. Don't worry about the engineering components on how exactly we link things together. Just understand that they are being linked together. And there's a tool that we built called the Logic engine. I actually built this tool, this piece of software 10 years ago that allows us to associate if-then statements. So if a person's having this kind of issue, then here's what we want them to do. Or if they have this kind of question, then this. And if you think about a sequence, like 6 tasks, if you do task 1, then task 2. If you do task 2, then go to task 3. Then everything in life, everything checklist, a recipe is a if-then sequence. If this, an autoresponder when someone gets an email. Day 1 you get this, day 2 you get this, day 3. Those are the dumbest versions of if-then statements because it's just if 1 then 2, if 2 then 3, if 3 then 4, right? The if is the triggering event. The then is therefore, here's what you need to do. Read this article, increase the budget, write a blog post, respond to the customer. If someone gave you a negative review, then here's what you need to do, okay? Everything in life and knowledge that's based on execution is based on if-thens. Anyone who has a lot of expertise, you can encapsulate it in if-thens. And if they can't do if-thens, they have not encapsulated their knowledge. Their knowledge is not encapsulated in a way that other people can follow and repeat. You see what I'm saying here? Okay, so everything we have is based on checklists. Most people think checklists are just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because they'll say, people will say, hey, I've got a checklist, the 10 ways on how you can be more creative in digital marketing. No, that's called a listicle. See, a checklist is sequential, like a recipe. First do this, then this, so the order actually matters, right? So if 10 experts each contribute their best tip, it's not a checklist. Even though it looks like a checklist, it has bullet points, it has 10 things, you can format it nicely, you can make it look, it's not a checklist. Checklists are sequential, they're driven by an if condition. Now what's special about our dashboard, which is our software, which I'll give you access to if you want to see and really look behind the hood and see what we've been building the last 20 years, it might surprise you that this is not something we came up with just a couple of years ago. The triggering if condition is being detected by our software, okay? So the software is determining if a certain ad campaign, for example, is not performing, then turn it off. If a piece of content's doing well, then put more money against it. If a particular video is great, then tell the client to make another video just like that. Or then tell the agency to tell the client to then do something like that. So everything is if-thens. And that means everything is linked together. Anytime we, this Angus podcast, Angio Media, whatever, we're teaching the same things that we teach everywhere else. Listen for these key things: $1 a day, 1-minute video, digital plumbing, pixel, topic wheel, 3x3 grid. All these key concepts, those are all items that are linked together. So if we're using this Logic Engine tool properly, which I'll give you access to, then anytime we talk about 1-minute videos, we should be able to link any reference of those things together and auto-generate a list of anything that's there, like a sort. You can imagine what that might be. Without understanding the engineering behind it, you can sort of see conceptually, it's like a search engine, kind of. I did work at a search engine 20 years ago, so you can see kind of where this came from. But this is different. This is a goal engine. This is not searching for the capital of Iowa. This is searching for how to do something. It's a goal engine. It's not a search engine. So in a goal engine, we have tasks that are linked together. Now, we might say, here's all so let's say, I'll just show you categorically how it might organize. So we have all the 1-minute videos. So we the topic 1-minute video. Well, 1-minute video, you can break into 19 types of 1-minute videos. Why, how, and what videos, of which we have, I think, 6, 6, and 7. Or so. I'm glad it's not 6, 6, 6. We have 19 of these, not 18. 6, 6, 6 would be 18. We have 19 of these, 6, 6, and 7 of these types of videos, and then, which are, why, how, and what videos. So I could drill from 1-minute videos to why videos. I can go from why videos to one of the 6 types of why videos. I can go from that to say, okay, now I want to know, a why video could be gratitude. And here's lots of examples of gratitude videos. And then I could say, I'm a dentist. Okay, here's examples of dentists making. You see what I'm saying? I can start at the top level and I can drill all the way down. Imagine a website where initially I come in and I click on what I am. I'm a agency owner and I'm trying to grow my agency. Okay, great. I click on that. And then based on that, okay, are you starting your agency? You have an existing agency? Okay, go this path or that path. So then it's all if-thens. Every time we're collecting an answer, that's an if, because they're giving us an input. Then, okay, so if you haven't started you're an agency, you told us, okay. If you haven't gotten any clients, then here's the path you go down. Oh, if you already have a bunch of clients, then do you have a lighthouse? No, I don't. I have 10 random clients. Oh, okay, we need to build a lighthouse so you can focus on one thing. Just serving dentists, just serving chiropractors, just serving, as a lighthouse. Oh, then you need to learn what a lighthouse is. You need to start to build a lighthouse. Here's how you determine what your lighthouse is. We have all these exercises that are triggering based on if-then. But maybe you come in on the Blitzmetrics website and it's if you are a small business. Great. What kind of business are you? Are you a local service business? Yes, I am. Okay. Then here's what you need to do. Understand this, learn how to do these things, and then at some point they'll say, would you like us to do, here's all the training, and then they can say, would you like us to do it? Yes. If you would like us to do it, then buy one of these packages, right? So at any point they could buy the packages. We're going through the training because all courses are packages. We never sell packages directly. Why? Because it sets the wrong expectations. Then they want to get on the phone and have us spend an hour explaining what it is. Like doctors never do that. You never go into the hospital and someone comes and says, hey, have every doctor line up and spend an hour explaining to me what they do. Like, no, this is the way it works in the hospital, right? You know what I mean? So that's why we always put our courses out there for transparency, so that they could always do it for free if they wanted to, but it's never free because their time is not free, and the cost of their mess ups and the money they waste and all that is not free. So we let people go down. We call them freetards, but that's not a word we like to use publicly. I used that for 10 years and it was great, and then with all the PC stuff I can't say that anymore, but that's basically what it is. Like these people who want high level client service and have me 24/7 on call for their $10 a month, like, I'm sorry, I don't want to have to explain why that's the case. So they come in, or maybe they're not a local service business. They're doing e-commerce, they are selling some kind of product, they're B2B, they have a startup idea that's not local and also service. Then there's another path where basically we don't want to touch them unless they can spend $20,000 a month with us. Because that's the level of competition, not because we're trying to rip them off. But if there's a local service business, like a veterinarian, we can do that all day long. Real estate agent, all day long, because there's thousands of them that do the same thing. So local service businesses, right? Go down the path, figure out what it is, go through the courses, at which point we want to make it simple, right? And they could, like the Angio Media, and then they can buy the packages that are $347 for each of these little packages, right? And we don't negotiate this. You don't go to Costco and negotiate the price. That's the price, okay? Because it's already cheap. We're doing it basically just barely above cost or even under cost, depending. Like we're losing money because we think that we can get efficiency and eventually sell it for a lot cheaper. So think about the structure of the 37-minute Logic Engine video. So all the different topics are tied together. Think about how you might link them together as you're taking notes, like Lana does. Like Lana, show your book with all the notes that you have. She's been taking notes, and that's great because you're understanding these things. But look at these words, look at these terms on how you might link items together. Because we're going to start linking things together. We're going to make it like a giant website, if you will, where the different topics are linked together. So I could instantly go to the website and I could go all the way down to where we talk about remarketing. I can go as far down as I want into remarketing and see all kinds of examples of remarketing. But mainly it's going to be examples of 1-minute videos and encouraging people to make videos. We have a lot of videos of famous people that I've asked to make videos, encouraging people to make 1-minute videos. So just kind of be on the lookout for that, right? Like, Perez Hilton, I had him make a bunch of videos that are if-thens where I said, Perez, now here's the situation. Someone has not made any 1-minute videos. It's been a week. Encourage them to then get going, to point the phone at their face and overcome their fear and how they look and all that. And so he has, and a bunch of my friends have. And they said, hey, Perez Hilton here, Dennis tells me you've not made any videos in the last week. Shame. Why is it? Because you're busy, you're afraid to press the button, you just don't know what to say, you don't like how you sound. Let me encourage you just to be real and talk. And people won't judge you for that. You're your harshest critic, blah, 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 right? So that's a triggering if condition. So our dashboard is looking at triggering if conditions. So the dashboard's pulling in all the data across your Google Analytics, across your reputation management, across your reviews, across your ads, across your emails, across like everything that the system can pull in. Maybe you have, Stripe, or you have CRM, or like we're pulling all that in so that we can determine when something is weird with the data. That's a triggering if condition. It's like a check engine light. Then here's what you need to do. Okay? So now, anytime you see any kind of training from me, always listen for the if-then conditions, write them down, and later I'm going to show you how to use the Logic Engine. Okay? So now this is your red pill into the matrix. Let me know, what do you think?
Fantastic.
All right.